welcome to another episode of the Silver Lyming. I am so happy to be here in a healthy and whole state to bring this podcast to you to help again just to raise awareness around Lyme disease and tick-borne illness, but also more importantly to spread hope and to focus on other stories who have healed from Lyme and tick-borne illness. I myself was sick for about 7 years before I actually got an accurate diagnosis, and it took me about another 7 years and a lot of time, energy, and money to fix myself. So if I can cut off some of that time for other people and sharing other stories of healing by just hearing how they went about healing their own bodies, or again, just to be that voice of inspiration for you, because I do remember how lonely and dark it got in my worst days, and I just don't want people to feel like they are alone. And so Lyme disease, if you're not familiar with that, is a tick-borne or vector-borne illness. It can come from actually a couple other ways of transmission through biting insects, not just ticks. And it is a corkscrew-shaped organism that can really burrow much deeper into the body if it's not treated initially. And a lot of people, unfortunately, will go more into long-term or chronic Lyme state just because they don't find it right away. 35% of people approximately get a bullseye rash. The rest of us are left to figure it out on our own if we did indeed get bit by a tick. And I can assure you, they are some of the tiniest little creatures on the planet. And so I was just doing a little bit of reading through the Global Lyme Alliance. If you're not familiar with that organization, you should definitely check them out on the internet. They're a fantastic group that comes together to raise funding to help people do more research on Lyme and tick-borne illness and help people to figure out ways to heal themselves. And one of the articles I was reading about today was on POTS, P-O-T-S. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that, but that is something that can affect a lot of people with Lyme disease. It's also coming up in COVID infections, a few other illnesses, and that stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And so if you're not familiar with tachycardia, that's going to be affecting the heart and our blood pressure. And a lot of times when people have this, they have a lot of dizziness, lightheadedness, their blood pressure doesn't function properly. And so if you're suffering from any of those types of symptoms with an undefined root cause, I would encourage you to get screened or tested for Lyme and tick-borne illness. But my guest today is another lovely individual that I've been introduced to through the power of the internet and my network. And Fred Diamond, thank you again for introducing me to my guest, Melinda, today. And Melinda Bernstein is a rabbi. She has come to me again through a connection. She's excited to be here, and she wants to weave her wisdom on love, marriage, family, and the intergenerational legacies we inherit as we grow and transform. Rabbi Melinda was born on Miami Beach, raised on Reform Judaism. She raised children on Orthodox Judaism and raises eyebrows with her eclectic style. She was ordained on the beaches and beautiful sands of Hollywood, Florida, and Broward County. She resides nearby and offers others a Kabbalah, oh, you can help me with that, Kabbalah-based and garden-laced way of living present each day. Melinda, I'm really happy to have you here. Welcome to my show. Thank you again for your interest in sharing your story and helping others see how they can heal themselves through the power of love and just sheer determination to overcome something like Lyme and tick-borne illness. If you don't mind, could you please share with us a little bit more about yourself and your story with Lyme and tick-borne illness?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for that lovely introduction. And yes, let's thank Fred Diamond for being a diamond in the rough and showing up in our lives in a way that just sparkled everything, right? I mean,
Right.
the honest truth is, when I came back in 2015 from Northern California to be with my father before he left this world, I knew time was of the essence, and I entered into South Florida with a good foundation on what I knew to be true of who I was. And then I sort of left some of that behind just to be with the family in their grief. And what that meant was eating bagels and cream cheese, which I wasn't doing very much of. And lo and behold, not long after, I don't think it was after my father passed, and before I got started to do all the things I had hoped and wanted to do with my life, my knee swelled up something fierce to the point that I couldn't bend it like a half an inch. And I attribute it to the bagels and cream cheese. So I did not look for, I went to a functional medicine doctor for that issue. And he affirmed through testing that I was sensitive. Okay, I knew I'm a sensitive person. I'm an empath and a healer, and I own that part of myself. Um, Many lifetimes ago. Like in this life, I feel like I've had already a few lifetimes, but I can see into the past and I can also see into the future, not because I'm a psychic or a weirdo or anything like that, but just because I live in the zone of the mystical creation. So when we think about creation, and we'll get to that after I elaborate a little bit more on how I found out I had this ticked off, this ticked off stuff that was invading my energy, right? So it's taking on my energy, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it other than to stop eating bagels and cream cheese. So fast forward from 2015 to 2023, where I had a major episode when Israel was invaded by Hamas, and the conscious dancers were murdered and raped and burned, and just horrible things. Now, being a conscious dancer myself, someone who taught conscious dance, someone who taught the divine feminine dance, also known as Shekhinah, which is in my tradition, that is the mystical divine feminine. Okay, so I was that dancer that they took. And I just stepped right into that story as if it were my own. And it was very, very deep and ancestrally profound, where my ancestors were hollering at me to do so many different things. So I come from different angles. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. I have 3 grandchildren and 1 more on the way. I have a mother and 2 brothers and their wives. And when I do my work, and cousins. So when I do my work, ancestrally speaking, is supportive to their happiness too, right? So if I'm standing in my center and Hamas ripped it out of me, then I had to do something. And furthermore, I had another personal attack from somebody that I loved for many years. Nameless will be the name that I choose of this person, because they're nameless in my world right now. That had to happen. It was an invading of energy. So I sought out a source to replace what Hamas had taken from me. And I looked to dating, which was incredibly daunting, and also deliberately enhancing my life, because I was battling something that a consciousness that I had the battle of my consciousness inside. Which way am I going to go? Not to the past, but to the future. And to the future I did. Stumbling along the way, I went to a functional medicine place that had just opened up that had more availability for me to get tested, and they were close by. So I went by April, and I had this vibrant wellness, very thick report that gave me my answer. And then I pursued to cleanse my blood with IV ozone. I pursued to balance my adrenals with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And those 2 modalities worked in sync to combat what was happening internally. And I transformed my energy while caring for my mother and while serving funerals, baby namings, and weddings. And I had to cancel a lot of them because I couldn't keep up. And so I was able to do that. And I had to come to terms with the fact that I couldn't care for my mother while caring for myself. And I had to come to terms with that. And then I had to teach my family to come to terms with that, so they could be supportive of my needs and see that I would succeed with my purpose, which is how I share with others. What's your purpose? You inherit something, you grow through that inheritance, and then you transform it. So there's three energies that play in all of the things that we do. We have our ego, we have our heart, we have our soul, and those three are always kind of dancing, and they're often out of sync. I sync them by creating balance because I need that. If I don't have balance, everybody knows it. You met me when I didn't have it, and you carried me through that, and I bless you and thank you eternally for that. My inner garden at the time was de-weeding. I was de-weeding all of the attachments and the wounding and all the things that I had learned to transform prior to coming back to help be with my father before he left this world, but nothing that my family was present or aware of. So in a sense, for 9 years, I'm caring for my mom, but they're not really unsure how I was able to be such a good caregiver and then care into the universe the way I cared, with ceremonies that I love because I know rituals are my thing. And then, boom, boom, the hammer and the nail tries to get you gone. Anti-Semitism is here, alive and well, and I'm alive and well. I'm financially free. I'm working on doing more of that and helping more women. I just decided I can do that now. I can help more women. I can help them feel more abundant in love, in loving themselves, and healthy as well. Because once you own those three things, the rest is history. And her story, other people's stories, his story, other people's stories, they play a pivotal role, but they're not our role. They're not our responsibility. They're their own responsibility. And that's where it's at. So
Yeah. So that sounds like quite the profound transformation. And I know, just looking at you from where we met to where you are now, you look like a completely different person. And I'm really happy for you that you're finding your flow again, if you will, and just like getting back into your zone and getting back grounded with who you are as a being. Because I know, again, you were whacked out pretty hard, just through the experience of coming into contact with Lyme. Can you talk a little bit more about, so you had mentioned that you had a swollen knee. Can you expand a little bit more too on some of the other symptoms that you were experiencing for people, please?
So at the time, so this was 9 years ago, and I returned to Florida. I had done a psychedelic experience in California that changed everything, transformed everything. So when I came back, what I was experiencing, disappointments, a lot of in the disease,
Yeah.
energetic weight, disappointments, disillusionments, and then I just I just fluffed it off because I had that psychedelic experience. So my psychedelic experience was the pivotal thing that had me deal with all these symptoms: tiredness, drain of energy, let's see, joint issues. I did have the POTS, which you mentioned, but I didn't really have that until after October 7th. I had a few instances where I was in like serious stress with that, but I have a very low key, balanced life. I do yoga, I do meditation. Meditation is the answer for me to everything.
Yes.
And I know how to meditate in 3 minutes. So, and I've taught that
I was
many,
gonna
many,
say, now wait a second, maybe people want to know that secret, because there's so
yes,
many people I talk to about meditating and they're like, I can't meditate. My brain never gets quiet. I can't make my head stop
actually.
talking.
So let me say this. I used to teach the 7-second peaceful heart breath. It's simple. You're inhaling to the count of 3, pausing for a second, and exhaling for a count of 3. Now, I've been visualizing Kabbalah meditation, Kabbalah imagery, Gaia meditation. I can't even remember when, since 2000 something or other. I've been doing this a really long time. So for me, And dance, that is a meditation. So many different kinds of ways to embody, like some people will call it, embody the goddess. So I just embody Melinda, because a lot of people will want some of your energy and they'll want to take it. So as my son calls them energy vampires, and he knows who they are, and he's like, well, I'm not going to go there. So I'm so grateful that I taught my children something. I taught them the roadmap, which I use to transform my life. It's to live into your ultimate possibility and say, I'm possible. Wealthy is possible. Healthy is possible. Love is possible.
Yes.
All those things, when you define, okay, this is going to be fun. I like tongue twisters. I figured out that if I could define, design, align, and refine my life to the divine, then I would be divine. And I could share that divine energy with others, only that I'm not giving it away freely. I'm teaching them how to be their own. Because with Lyme, people were just taking, and I didn't know how to stop the taking because I didn't know that I had Lyme. So Lyme was the trigger for that was Hamas. So that was taking something from me, my sovereignty. And recognizing that, what was taking from me in my environment, I don't like to point to my mother for these kind of things, but she's 94. She's a Pisces. We get along really great. She's very spiritual, but we're different. We have different models. She's like driving a different kind of car than I am. How can she get into my car with me and see my life? It's just not in her consciousness. But for me, it's in mine. But when Lyme was there, I couldn't see the distinction between. I thought it's great to give, because I'm a limitless source of blessings. And the truth is, when you learn how to be that, then you become that, and then you transform that which you were given. So I call it the inner garden. If you think about Adam and Eve from the beginning of time, they were playing in the garden. They ate from the apple. The snake came up and bit them, and all chaos has been happening ever since. What other story do I need to tell from my lineage other than I'm going to go in the garden and I'm going to be good with both the tree of knowledge, which is the way we dissect reality, and the tree of life, which is the way we embody reality. Put those two together underneath the earth, rooted in the earth, those two trees were weaved together. And so, yeah, there was a snake or two or five. Who knows how many snakes there are in the world? The point is that if we can just take a look at that and say, okay, that's what it is. And this is what it was for me when I spoke with you and I was really down because I tried to help someone with Lyme and it backfired on me and I wasn't ready. That was my lesson and my gift in that moment. And moving through that portal changed everything for me.
Yeah, you're really making me think about one of my very first guests had talked about the parasitic behaviors of Lyme and some of the other things to look at in our life. And I was like, well, I never thought about it that way. He's more into shamanism as well. And um, just hearing you talk about that is like people taking things from you, the energy vampires, people sucking things out of you, like parasitic behavior. Again, it's just these parasites that we come into contact with, not just ticks. People can be huge parasites and suck things out of us, and we can be our own worst parasite too and suck our own energy out of ourselves. And it's just very important to be aware of that and to be conscious of that, to be able to start to put a different perspective on it, to put up different boundaries to protect ourselves, to ensure that we're maintaining our energy internally in our own garden, that we have energy left to give. If we come from a place where we want to give, that's a great heart. But if we're giving everything away, then we usually have nothing left to give and we have nothing left for ourselves. And so I find it's very important for us to nurture and maintain our own inner garden first and give to ourselves first before we give to others. And I think in the vein of looking at it more from a female perspective, we are more subject to giving away everything that we have versus a man. A lot of times men are not the givers and the nurturers, so to speak, that women are. And we're more prone to depleting ourselves this way. And I think that's actually something else that you help to teach women in particular is, again, how not to do that, how to be more secure in our own divine energy and to protect again ourselves and to give self-care and self-love, because I know that's a huge thing. And just in healing my own experience, like learning how to love myself was one of the hardest lessons, but it was one of the most critical lessons that I could have learned. So I think that you're definitely going down the right space. And if you wouldn't mind, could you repeat your tongue twister, please?
Yes. Define, design, align, and refine your life to the divine.
Yes.
So we're defined by God. We're God's children. We're
Yes.
designed by our upbringing. We're aligned by finding success beyond our upbringing. Define, design, align, and we're refined by the actions we take in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, giving in ceremony as a rabbi, I received plenty too. I built a business.
Sure.
Premarital counseling, singles, marriage couples who come for tune-ups every so often. Families sometimes get involved and talk about the roadmap when they're in the right space or they need it. And unfortunately, it usually happens when people have a greater need to fix or heal something or to draw distinctions between who's responsible for what in the world. So women take on a lot of responsibility for parenting, things to do with the house, nurturing. Men take on responsibility for providing. What happened to me after my divorce? I had to do it all. And I learned how to, sorry, there's a noise on my phone, distracting. I had to, um, I had to learn how to do this while my mother had her needs too. And it was fun, but it was not fun because she got to see her youngest get past her issues and help other people with their issues. And it alleviated her her worry around what was going to happen to me to an extent. She always brought that worry to me most of the time when we're living together. And then once Lyme happened, she got the reason why everything was happening. Everything was happening for me, not to me. So everything that's happening to a Lyme person is happening for them. It's giving them an opportunity to do something different, to shift.
That's one way of looking at it. Yes.
That's the way I have to, as a transformational coach. Okay,
Yes.
if I could call
Yes.
myself that is what I've been doing since
Yes.
I wrote the roadmap, since I got out of my marriage, since
Yes.
I tried not to look back.
Yes.
And yeah,
And I will agree with that sentiment. Like I look back and just see, again, I feel like it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed is the transformation of myself through that process. It was very hard during it and in the middle of it. And I'd question a lot of times. I talked to God a lot. I was probably really actually yelling at God a lot, like, why me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? Like, why? And, ultimately it comes back to a place of love and forgiveness and giving myself some grace and space to be who I need to be versus who I thought that I had to be. And I think a lot of times when we become physically diseased, it's because we're trying to fit into a space that we're not meant to be. And it's really hard sometimes to take off those blinders and actually see really what it is that we are and who we are and how do we really be divine and find ourselves, right? And that is definitely a big transformational process. And for people who are sick and going through this, I really will encourage you. I've talked about this on past episodes, but it is more of a spiritual evolution, right? Like it's not just a physical thing. There are a lot of underlying factors that I think go back to trauma, abuse, different bad experiences that we've had that we really need to grapple with on a soul level, on a spiritual level, to allow
Yeah.
ourselves to fully heal and to free ourselves into who we need to be. And so
Amen.
I
That's
can,
right.
yeah,
It
and
really is. And I thought it was I mean, I kind of laughed. It was like a cosmic joke. Like, God, you've got to be kidding. I know when things happen for me. Like, how are we gonna solve this puzzle or get out of this conundrum? But what I want to say to your people are, if you can think about your experience from a perspective that is psycho-spiritual, then you can get somewhere with everything else. Now, I granted the diet thing for me, I've been working on it on decades. So I had an edge up there. I had an edge up in my biohacking practices. I had an edge up shamanically through psychedelics. I had an edge up in my religious experience. So I think God kept edging me up, and I'm like, really? You're going to give me a ticked off disease? And not only that, it was so confusing. I didn't even want to get into, and I still don't. I still don't. I don't want to. Here's the way I would say, like, you're in the garden, right? And you're trying to play, and you're trying to enjoy yourself, and you get bit by a tick. I mean, this could be any garden, anywhere. And I was in the Garden of Eden of America, which is Northern California, where people are exploring all kinds of consciousness ways to evolve. And I was having a very good time, what I would call my post parenting personal growth journey of a juicy expression to the highest degree. So if I were to extract the uh, essence of my astrology, which I enjoy doing with people who are into that, is that I look at, and you're an Aquarius, so you get that. Happy birthday, by the way,
thank
belated.
you.
I'm
Thank
right there near you, Capricorn and quirky, just the goat on the mountain. Well, I saw a lot of deer on the mountain.
you.
But if I extrapolate from my astrology what I know to be true about myself, there are two things that I learned. My Venus is in Aquarius, that's my planet of love. And my Chiron, which is the wounded healer asteroid somewhere up there, who knows, yeah, I'm not going to point to it or anything like that. That's the wounded healer. So I've got, and they're in the sixth house, which is family. So I've got the wounded family healer and the love healer in me, and I put those two together, and you got Melinda. And that's all there is to it. My personality comes out as a rabbi, and some people would call that an avatar. Uh, whatever people are choosing to do to transform their lives, they must follow that. And family, I have a police background family, so they're very straight, probably never smoked pot, like just goody two shoes on all levels. And for me, I mean, my shoes got muddy. I was in the garden. I didn't mind getting in the dirt. And I had to understand that the dirt is there to teach us something. There are weeds in the dirt. There are things that don't belong in the dirt that aren't ours. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge is intertwined with all of us. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to let your tree be sleep with my tree.
Yes.
It's just you have to be realistic when you're dealing with a chronic illness, which I still have. Okay, I just carry it along with me, like I carry everything else, but I don't carry it to the point where it's going to be um, I'm living at the expense of it.
Yeah. Where it's defining you, eh?
It was define, design, align. It was defined by God. I was defined by God, designed by my family's influence, aligned by my strategies for success, and refined my life to the divine every minute of every day with the pure consciousness that I seek and choose to share.
Yes. Well, and that's I think more to what I was getting at is that you're maybe carrying it, it's part of you, but it's not defining you. Like it's not your whole identity, which is really important as well, I think, for people to understand. Like there was a point in time when my dad was like, listen, you are not Lyme disease, you are Anne, you have Lyme disease. Like it's just a very big difference in how we differentiate that in ourselves and our true being and what we really are willing to identify ourselves as versus, some things like simple as just saying I'm healing versus I'm sick, or uh, it's again
Right.
just how we shift that perspective, and we don't allow it to define who we are. The chronic illness, we are who we are, and that just happens to be a part of who we are.
It was a chapter. It was a chapter in the life, and it can continue to remind us to grow and transform and
Yeah.
to stay present to our goals. But it can also debilitate you. And that's where you have to take control of your mind, basically, and find ways. For me, I meditated on my blood because I knew that it was in my blood. So when I got my IV ozone, and I'm probably going to go for more not in the near future, I meditated that my blood was being cleansed and purified. I mean, that is elevated. I was elevating and choosing modalities or choosing herbs, and I also do herbs, choosing things that are going to work in my favor are going to make the new chapter that you're writing, the new life that you're writing, the new way that you're being, um, more exciting. So you don't put more energy into what a drain that was. I mean, yeah, let's bless that drain and let's fill it up.
Yes. And so I'm curious if for you, did you ever feel like there was a point where you weren't going to heal, that you weren't going to get better?
I don't like, I don't believe in um, weren't going to get better. I believe in spiritually healing. Sometimes I thought that when I counsel people who are grieving a loss of a loved one, I talk about spiritual healing. It was a spiritual healing time. So I thought of it as this is a death of a part of me that is going to know it no longer serves me. Is it going to kill me? It doesn't kill supposedly, but people kill themselves on it. And also, you never know when your time is up. We
Yeah.
do not know when our time is up. And that is one of the hardest things that many of us go through, especially, as a funeral officiant. I go through that and share that energy with people all the time. So I'm used to it. I never thought it was going to kill me. I thought it was going to spiritually heal me. And that could have meant personal death. Could have.
Yes, because I have to say, unfortunately, I do know a fair amount of people who have passed away from this, and it affects everybody differently. Some people are completely okay and they'll test positive but have zero symptoms. Some people will have every symptom in the book and test negative. Like it's wild to me how this sickness actually works. It affects some people's heart, and that's very tragic, especially if it's a severe onset case like that where it causes people's heart muscles to give out and they die, right? Like it's just
That's what happened to me. I thought I was having a heart attack. I
yeah.
called my son, I called 911. And they're like, your heart's fine. You want to go to the hospital? And I'm like, no, my son is here. And I made him drum on me. I took out my drum. I made this drum by myself. Her name is Shekhinah Heartbeats. Now let's talk about the shaman in everybody, because everybody's got one and they just don't know it yet. If your heart gives out, then your heart gives out. It's your time. It's your spiritual healing, just like the dancers in Israel, that it was their time. It's as
Yeah.
painful as it was, they were taking in the worst way. And then all of the things that happened with the IDF, and I'm going back to my homeland because my heart is my home and my homeland is in my heart.
Yes.
So just like the IDF took out, half of the Palestinian people just to get at the enemy, the way I transform my life is, can I share a little Kabbalah with you?
Of course.
So there's two components to who we are, the light and the dark. In Judaism, or the mystical side of it, we have what's called the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov. That's the good voice and the bad voice. The positivity and the negativity. And they are the ones that are battling. So when I think about what happened to why the IDF had to go and do what they had to do to get rid of the Yetzer Hara, or the evil inclination is another way of putting it, that would exist in people who want us dead just because we're Jewish. So we're fighting for our right to breathe. Harrowing as it is to look at what happened. We're now in a transformative administration. I didn't mean to get political because I sort of shy away from that. But I tend to, and I'll just describe it very simply. So because I loved Kamala Harris and I hated Donald Trump, and in a sense that's an oxymoron, because I needed Israel and he was for that, and she was, and this and this. And it was just like such a big conundrum. And I'm dealing with Lyme at the same time. So I can't even look at it. But my mother loves CNN, you see. And I cannot see CNN because if I see it, it's going to, those spirochetes, like, you see this hair?
Yes.
I could see the energy of my hair like it really was dead. It was deadening.
Yes.
And I don't want to kill my mother off, and I don't want her to kill me off. That's not what we're here for as human beings. So that had to be done. That fight between the disempowered woman and the obnoxious man, that had to be done in order to make room for movement. And movement we have. I'm not watching the news anymore. I'm
Good
grateful.
job.
Well, that was one of the realities that I lived with. I'm on a news cleanse right now. I catch some of it, but I'm not in the place where I was when I had to be caring for her. How do you take away a 94-year-old's right to enjoy what she loves to enjoy? You can't do it. It's not spiritually in alignment with caregiving.
Yep. Yep.
So
That's
it was
tough.
a conundrum, all right. And we sailed through it. We're still sailing.
That's right. That's right. And hopefully we will continue to sail. Um, yeah.
The
And
wind is in
so,
my sail, and when the wind goes out, then the fire will light it up, and then somebody will blow the fire out, and then the wind will come again, and we'll ground ourselves in the earth, and we'll look to the heaven, and there's so many different directions of finding who we are. It can be very confusing.
sure, sure. And I think also on that thought is like, I feel like as individuals, we go through many past lives in the same physical body that we're in currently. And like, as you were saying earlier, it's like part of you had to die off. And I do feel that way. It's like we're just constantly changing. We're never the same person twice. And, it's just a constant evolution and expansion, hopefully, of who we are. But sometimes it's a contraction, sometimes it's an up or a down or a left or a right. And we're just constantly changing. And so certain things will make sense for us at a certain period of time, but then we'll move away from those patterns and learn something different or a different way to be. And that again just helps us to evolve through that and continue to transform. And I think that's kind of the same with the political landscape, is that it comes and it goes, it waxes and it wanes, it expands and it contracts. We've got certain things that happen. Sometimes it'll agree with us, sometimes it won't. But I think for the most part, for me, I really just stay away from the news altogether because I find it's just a fear mongering tool and it's not healthy for us. And ultimately, when we're faced with something like chronic Lyme or long term sickness, what we really need to focus on is things that are going to be healthful for us and helpful to us. And finding ways to meditate or to dance or to be in nature or to talk to God or to journal or to do some of these different activities that, again, are going to be more wholesome to us as a being. are really what we need to focus on. And that's certainly not the news. And that's certainly not politics. Again, that's very soul polluting versus soul healing. So,
I know, I know.
yeah,
And I feel I felt really weighed down in the beginning, thinking about what other people are going through and trying to help that one Lyme victim and her family. And it was so sad. I was beside myself with grief for them, and I didn't know how to climb out of I really didn't know how to climb out of it at that moment. Facing harsh realities for myself, I was like, this reminded me of when I went through my divorce and I became a divorce coach and I wrote a book on divorce. And the minute I did the book, I never wanted to talk about divorce again because people were just arguing over the dumbest things, like who gets the couch and stuff like that. So I would just give out my book. Now I sell it. I sell it privately as a PDF for people so they can like read my story and then they'll go, I'm not going to argue about the couch anymore.
yeah,
Look at
that's
what
good.
this woman did with her story. And it's all about how you relate to the story and transform the story. So I transform the story of Lyme. I still see it. I still feel it at times. It's definitely different. I nurture and nourish myself in different ways because I'm using these herbs that have to go to different places for different reasons. And I don't want to get lost in the weeds of the many co-infections, because when I tried to go there, there was something in my spirit that just said, don't. So instead I said, IV ozone and herbs, and do your mindfulness and cleanse your blood. And that was it was like those three things. I inherited, this is my blood. I'm a Jewish woman. I'm going to experience, I'm in a man's world. I'm going to experience flack. I'm going to experience attack. There we go, flack and attack. That was good.
And make you come back.
And give it back.
There you go.
But I don't like to give it back in the same projections that people give to me. And that was where my work was, because I use also human design as a very fun, trippy way of finding astrology expansion. So knowing how I'm designed to live in my higher self versus my lower self, I realize that I'm not the one who projects onto others. And when people project onto me, both of my brothers are projectors. One's a Republican and one's a Democrat. And growing up, it was always about they would fight, and my mother would call my father to stop them from fighting. And my father would never get up because he worked very hard as a policeman. And my mother would just go, bird, bird. And this was my childhood, but I never got in the middle of it because they weren't allowed to bother me. So in a way it was good, and in a way it wasn't good because I didn't get in the mix of how to deal with the projectors of the world, you see. So when Lyme was projected on me, and the violence that's going on around me, I was like, okay, I have to be Keanu Reeves in that movie, The Matrix. But I know how to do that because my marriage was similar to The Matrix. And
Okay.
standing in your center with God as your witness has to be enough sometimes. Like when you're in Lyme and you're on your own, like I'm on my own, I'm going to the doctor on my own, I'm going to the pharmacy on my own. And there are times when I felt like after COVID, and I had COVID for the first time 3 months or 2 months after when I was on my antibiotics with Lyme.
Okay.
And my mother got it for the first time. So, and she lost two of her best friends in that same month. So, like, it, can I say the shit hit the fan?
Sure.
It was so fanny. Okay, that's my grandmother's name, by the way. Grandma Fanny. Grandma
Oh,
Fanny was she was whipping up a reminder to me. I'll talk about the ancestors and how they play a role in my life. She was whipping up something to fan the flames of freedom that I needed so I wouldn't go down like the way that I felt the universe around me is. I live in South Florida. It's a very dark world down here, as far as sketchiness and crime. And this is how I grew up with the narcotics detective. And, my father was 30 years and brothers were trailblazing and following in their footsteps. And Melinda didn't have that shot. So uh, thankfully, I haven't gotten shot yet.
let's not put that on your list of things to do either, please.
No,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to take a shot of my tea and honey right now
Yeah.
because that is better for me. And there are plenty of ways to do shots. So the young people these days, they're just out of control. And it used to bother me to no end, but I have no control over them. So I let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's let go and let God. It's a very good lesson that we've got to all learn sometimes. Um, And then I think maybe as a final thought for you, if you don't mind, could you tell me a little bit like what was the best thing that you found as a result of getting Lyme and tick-borne illness? What's the best thing that's happened to you? I often like to leave people with this thought and that not everything about it is bad, which clearly I can tell from our conversation that you've gone through quite again the soul transformation through this process, which is what you needed. And it's really what we all need. And I think that's why we all are given the lessons that we're given. But I think many people get caught up in the fact that this is all bad. And I can attest to it myself that it is not all bad. But in your own words, what would be the best thing that's happened to you as a result of getting Lyme and tick-borne illness?
Um, Getting my health, you know, health is wealth. I have both.
And that's I couldn't agree with that sentiment anymore. It's kind of wild to think people are like complaining about this or complaining about that, or they don't have this or they don't have that. And it's like we really have nothing at all without our health. And that's what this lesson was a big one that I got out of it too, was just how valuable our bodies are and how important it is for us to take care of ourselves, to feel good about who we are, to believe in ourselves, but to have that health that comes in so many forms. Like it's not just physical health. Again, there's spiritual, mental, emotional health that is part of that package. And I'm glad that you were able to find that again because really without it, like we could have all the money in the world, we could have all of the riches, all of this, all of that. It means nothing if you don't feel well. And so,
I know. I know.
yeah, and to
I
get
know.
that out of this, and also I think just a greater connection with self, I think would probably go in
More to
alignment with that.
share, more to now give. I
Yes.
mean, I'm starting a women's group tomorrow night. I'm going to share all the things that I love to share, and I'm so excited. They're so thankful, and people are so thankful that I cleared the way, but it wasn't me that cleared the way. It was the tick. At first I got ticked off, and then I ticked it off. So and I do it from time to time. I'm like, I'm going to tick you off now. If you're ticking me off, I'm going to tick you off. But I don't take it out. It's like the principle, don't take it out on the person in front of you, the doctor in front of you who is not illuminated by the education that they need. That sucks. Go
Yeah,
somewhere else. Do
that's
your
right.
research. Find that person that can see you, feel you, hear you and help you take care of yourself.
Yes.
That is what I did. I got my health and I got wealthier. I had wealth before, but I have a different kind of wealth now. I'm
Yes.
not bogged down by the drama, the trauma.
Yes.
Uh, and other people's trauma are coming at me like, wait a minute, that's not mine.
Correct. I didn't sign up for this. Thank you very much. I've got enough of my own.
Yes,
Yes.
but there's a way to say it and there's a way to embrace it and there's a way to embody it. And I don't argue. I just walk away. If this relationship isn't working in the way that meets my needs for a relationship, then I walk alone. And
Yes,
that's okay too, because I still have God and I
that's right.
have my Father who I channel wisdom through.
That's right.
So, and
That's
that's
right.
another thing I got. I got my ancestors to dance with me again. We were dancing very well together, and I sort of let it slide when things started getting stressful and COVID came, and you know, it's been a wild couple of lifetimes. So,
Sure has. Sure has. And stuff that we couldn't necessarily even see coming. And it is another testament to the fact that, it's not necessarily what happens to us, but how we react to the things that happen to us that matters most. And again, I just applaud you on finding your way back to health and wellness and for all the good energy and beautiful things that you put out for people to find. And I know it's really rooted in love and wanting people to have an acceptance of themselves and to feel good about themselves and to understand the power of transformation. Again, you're a transformational coach. What a beautiful thing. Like, what a beautiful gift that you have to give to people. But we have a hard time giving that gift when we're not feeling well ourselves. And so, I'm just really happy for
Mhm.
you that you were able to figure things out, that you had good guidance along the way. You went to the functional medicine doctor that was able to diagnose you accurately to help again to put you onto the path of true healing from a physical perspective, but then that your own spirit had the inner wisdom that it required to heal yourself on the spiritual side of things too. And that's,
And the
it's not
truth
easy.
is, yeah, the truth is it all stems from a place of self-love.
Correct.
That is where everything stems from. You've
Correct.
got to have that, or you're not moving the needle in the right direction.
That's right.
So, my invitation to all your people, since now it's almost Valentine's Day, and I am on a journey of love. You are on a journey of love. The world is on learning how to be a journey of love, and Lyme is a love journey. It's also a faith journey. So I want to leave you with a faithful um, imagery that love will find you, love will be with you, love is within you, love is all around you, and feel and embrace that love. And that'll do, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yes. Amen to that. Into that. But thank you very much for your time today. If people are interested to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
They can go to my website, melindabernstein.com, or melinda@melindabernstein.com. They can email me. And you just Google my name and you'll find lots of information on me. I've been putting myself out there for quite a long time, and there's lots of ways that you can learn about, and free ways that you can learn how I did it, because it was all love. It was just I'm a lover, and that's where it's at. Like Aquarius just wants me to love and wants me to heal.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
And I really like your website a lot. And I appreciate the services that you provide too. Maybe that's also, I know you had mentioned that you're a transformational coach, that you do different ceremonies for people, wedding ceremonies, I think baptisms, funerals.
yeah, I stopped running around doing ceremonies, and I'm not sure I'm gonna sign up for that again. I'm
Okay.
feeling more like that was last life,
Okay.
and I just would rather sit in the lotus flower of my, I call this the caregiver corner where I'm at, because this was a
Yes.
corner of the living room that my mother allowed me to have in the beginning, the caregiver corner. And I just want to give care,
Yes.
love and care to whoever wants to learn how to love and care for themselves better. That's where I'm at. I think that other life, that other chapter of running around, I think that's over.
And that's okay. As again,
But we'll see where the universe wants me to be. I didn't close that chapter yet. I loved it, but I'm not actively searching to do that. I
okay.
like helping premarital couples make sure that they stay in alignment with each other so that their marriages are strong. That's more important to me, I think, because if I would have had that roadmap before I was married, then, maybe we could have worked it out, but it doesn't matter. That's the past. The
That's right.
future is taking that lesson and giving the gift to the people who want to open it.
Yes. Yes.
That's where I'm at.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. I'm glad that you're able to be there for those people that are seeking that. And I know, again, our words will find the right people and the right people will always find us. So
Right.
thank you very much for your time today. And I look forward to staying connected with you and just following along on your journey.
My pleasure, Anne, and I as you as well. Be well and enjoy this beautiful weather down here in Florida and have a wonderful day and month ahead.
Amen to that. Thank you.